For this demonstration today, what we're going to be doing is demonstrating the bandsaw. So this is one of the two bandsaws that we have in the shop here, the larger bandsaw. The other one, a smaller one, is over on the other side of the machine. So going over some of the safety rules. First off, you want to make sure you're always wearing safety glasses. You want to remove rings, watches, bracelets, any loose clothing type of things need to be restrained. And then always making sure that you're not talking to anybody while you're operating the machine. So on this larger bandsaw here, the guard and the guide bearings. So inside here we have some little guide bearings that kind of help to keep the blade moving nice and straight. This needs to be adjusted correctly. So if I had a smaller piece like this one, which is not very thick, what we need to do is adjust this down much closer. So these need to be adjusted within 1/8 of an inch of your workpiece. So to adjust that on this machine, we hold with the guard here with the left hand, loosen the lever on the back side, adjust it down to about 1/8 of an inch above your workpiece, and then tighten it back down. On the smaller bandsaw, on the right side is a black wing nut that we use to loosen and adjust. So again, for letter A there, on the large bandsaw, this is adjusted with the chrome lever on the back side. On the small bandsaw, it's a black wing nut on the right side of the machine. The margin of safety on this machine is 4 inches. 4 inches. If your hands need to be closer, a push stick or other type of safety device could be used. So there are push sticks by each of the bandsaws. They need to stay there. Not that you couldn't use this on either machine, but we want to make sure that there are always at least one push stick at each machine, preferably 2. When you're operating the machine, number 6, we're going to stand facing toward the cutting edge of the blade. So inside here we have the little teeth on the blade. We want to stand facing toward it. So when I'm operating the machine, I'm going to be standing about like this. Number 7, we're going to never stand to the right side of the machine. The right side is this side where the camera is at, or is actually kind of at. So the camera is in the danger zone there. The reason for that is inside this machine here, there is a great big wheel that blade is stretched around. In the event that it were to break, there is a slight chance that it could throw that blade out to the right. So we want to make sure that you are not in that danger zone there. So once again, number 7, never stand to the right side of the machine. Number 8, the operating position is the front side of the machine. This is identified as the side of the machine that has the on-off switch. So right over here is our on-off switch. On the smaller bandsaw, it is in a similar location. You can see right there, it is a red and yellow switch. Number 9, do not have hands cross the cut line of the saw. We're going to position our hands on either side of that line. What the cut line is an imaginary line drawn straight out from the blade. We never want to have our hands across that. They need to be on either side. Preferably, you're going to keep them out of that yellow area that's painted on the table, which is 4 inches away from the blade. So that corresponds to our margin of safety that's 4 inches. Number 10, do not cut a curve tighter than the blade on the machine is able to handle. Relief cuts may be necessary. The smaller bandsaw is able to cut tighter curves. So for our demonstration here today, I've drawn in Sharpie, that way it's easier to see on the camera. A couple different curves. We have an interior curve here, and we have an exterior curve. With this machine, I could probably cut this exterior curve without relief cuts, but for demonstration purposes today, I'm going to demonstrate both of these using relief cuts. Relief cuts are small cuts that go in and out, like that. The reason the smaller bandsaw over there is able to cut tighter curves is because it has a smaller blade. So this blade here, we'll just see a little better, is 3/8 of an inch wide. So from front to back is 3/8 of an inch. The blade on the smaller bandsaw is much narrower, at 3/16 of an inch, so it's able to cut much tighter curves. Number 11, we're going to hold stock firmly against the table. You're never going to have it unsupported and up in the air. Remember, this blade is moving in a circular motion. So what's going to happen is if this piece is elevated at all, the blade, as you contact it, is going to force it down onto the table. We want to make sure that your fingers aren't pinched under there. It could also bend the blade. It could break the blade in extreme cases also. Number 12, we're going to avoid backing out of the cut. If we need to do this, you're going to shut the machine off and let the blade come to a complete stop. This is very important when operating the small bandsaw. So the only exception to that is going to be when we're doing our relief cuts. Those are meant to go in and out. On that smaller bandsaw, especially if I was to be cutting into this curve and had to back out for one reason or another, I would need to shut the machine off. Otherwise, I run the risk of pulling it off of the wheels. Number 13, if the blade should break or slip off the wheels, we're going to make sure you turn the machine off right away and move away. Number 14, the large bandsaw has a brake to slow the blade when the machine is shut off. So down below, there is a brake right down there to shut the machine, or to stop the blade once the machine is shut off. The primary use of the bandsaw is going to be to make curved cuts. A secondary use is going to be to prepare lathe pieces. So I'm going to explain this a little more in depth later, but this would end up being something that we would turn on the lathe, maybe making a bowl. So the first one that I'm going to demonstrate here today is going to be these two different curved cuts. We have an exterior curve and an interior curve. With both of them, I'm going to do relief cuts. So things I need to check prior to starting. I need to make sure that the guard is adjusted properly to about 1/8 of an inch within the piece. I need to keep my fingers out of that yellow area. And then it's a good idea to have the push stick ready to be used also. So we'll turn the machine on. And we'll start the relief cut. So moving in and out, almost touching the line. And we'll do the same for this exterior curve. So now that the relief cuts are finished, what we can do is go through and cut along the lines. what the relief cuts do is they chip off these small pieces as we cut. So the exterior curve is complete. And now we'll do the interior curve. Stop the machine and pump the brake to stop the blade. So there we have our exterior curve and our interior curve. The next function we'll demonstrate is how to prepare that lathe piece. So for this one, we do need to move the guard up substantially. So we'll adjust up. About 1/8 of an inch between the guard and guide bearings here and your piece. So for this, what I've done ahead of time is drew a circle as large as I could in the center. I've then drawn tangent lines at a 45-degree angle to the edges of the block. So that's what we're going to do, is cut these 4 corners off to create an octagon. Because I'm right-handed, I'm going to hold the push stick with my right hand, and I'm going to steer the piece with my left. As I get to the end of the cut, we need to ease up and come out slowly. But as you get to the end of the cut, we ease out, go nice and slow. And then the last corner. Stop the machine, pump the brake, and stop the blade. And there we have our piece prepared to make a bowl for the lathe.